there, welcome back. If you're new here, you know what I'm going to say? If you're not new, you know I'm going to say this is the Air Hug Community Podcast, and I'm Judy Arizosa. I'm really just like the menopausal woman next door who happens to be really into fitness, health, and living the best second half of life. No, but really, I'm actually a retired professional bodybuilder as well, and I do have a business called Grateful Fitness where I train women. But this podcast is aimed at living your best life in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and hopefully for many, many, many years beyond that. And today is part 2. If you missed it, last week in episode 137 was part 1, but today is part 2 of the 12 best books to help you navigate perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. So we're going to get started in a minute with the second 6 books. Alrighty, let's go. That awkward moment when you're not sure if you actually have free time or you're just forgetting everything. Oh yeah, that's one of those menopause symptoms, right? Hey, welcome back everyone. And as promised, this week we are talking about 6 more books, and I'm saying that in quotes, that really helped me to navigate through menopause, and I want to share them with you. So I'm going to get right to it today. The first one actually is not a book, and it is an audio recording that I came across on Audible, and it's called The Best of Les Brown Audio Collection, Inspiration from the World's Leading Motivational Speaker, Les Brown. And I will tell you, I have not listened to this one time, not 2 times, not 3 times. I think I've listened to it more than 7 times, and I kid you not. This audio collection, available on Audible, is highly recommended. It's a collection of his keynote speeches, and this guy helps you to change your belief in what you are capable of becoming. It's just amazing. I know it sounds like a lot of self-help, but hey, I'm here to tell you that getting through menopause requires a lot of self-help. So, I mean, why not use the resources that are available to us? This group of lectures, to me, has been really instrumental, not only in just how I navigated menopause, but actually how I coached my nutrition clients. And he comes up with these 5, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but 5 motivational concepts. And I will tell you, I will go back to them over and over and over again. I feel like they have been giving me so much benefit as both a woman going through menopause and as a fitness and nutrition coach helping women go through menopause. So I highly, highly, highly recommend this. And if those of you who are listening who have worked with me before in nutrition will recognize these 5 motivational gems, I'm going to call them. All right, so that's number 7. That's the only one that's not a true book. It's a must listen to, and you will find it on Audible. All right, number 8 is called Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear. This is a number 1 bestseller. There's over 1 million sold. Chances are you've already heard it. Here's the deal. No matter what your goals are, James Clear has a proven framework for self-improvement every day. He's a leading expert on habit formation, and I do highly recommend you read his book because to some degree, menopause is a lot about leaving your old habits behind that no longer serve you and moving on and creating new ones so that, and I've said this so many times before, you can live an awesome second half of your life. Yay! Okay. All right, number 9, You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. By the way, I used to pronounce it Sincero, but it's Sincero. Okay, another New York Times best-selling self-help book. It's light, it's concise. The chapters that really speak to me and the points that she makes are in this book, it helps you to identify self-sabotage. It helps you to create a life you love. It helps you to learn to love what you can't change and change what you don't love. And that's something I have talked a lot about in the last several years with a lot of my clients. And it gets down to that serenity prayer, right? God, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's it in a nutshell. But what I like is she goes even further and has the how-tos with how to use the force to kick some serious ass. And if you get the Audible version of this, there's a PDF included, which is very helpful. So, all righty. All right, next. Turning Pro. Tap into your inner power and create your life's work by Stephen Pressfield. This is a new author to me, although not a new author, but it's kind of funny. It's, you know how the universe, well, maybe you don't know this, but I firmly believe the universe kind of puts things in your path that's kind of meant to be a wake-up call. So lo and behold, I had one of his older books in my Kindle library for years, and I don't even know how it got there. Isn't that kind of weird? I don't remember it, but it was in there. And then, sorry about that. It happens once a whatever you call it episode. Anyways, more of his books became aware to me just by, somebody mailed me one, and then somebody else recommended Turning Pro. So he has several books. So the one I'm going to recommend is Turning Pro, because it's a big message that he has in several of his books. The actual act of turning pro. It navigates the decision to go from being amateur. Excuse me. Wow. Okay. To a professional. And he talks a lot about writing because he's a writer, but so much of it is applicable to any area of your life. Professional, personal, emotional, navigating menopause, all of it. But I really like his conciseness and his frankness. One of the most recent things he wrote, and I do have this book, haven't read it yet, but I adore the name. It's called Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be. Haven't read that yet, but if it's anything like his other books, they're quick reads, but they really get you to stop and think. I mean, he's really good at getting to the point, which is awesome. Okay, number 11. If you haven't heard of this book, trust me, you must be living under a rock. But it is called Untamed, and it is by Glennon Doyle. And I just can't leave this off. In case you haven't heard of it yet, this is her latest memoir. Over 200 million copies have been sold. People call her the patron saint of female empowerment, and I would not argue with that. She has her problems. She's far from perfect. She's overcome a lot of problems and gotten new ones. And Glennon Doyle's story of Untamed is amazing. It talks about how the joy we can experience when we stop striving to meet other people's expectations and trust the voice inside of us. Just amazing. Okay, I have one more book. And actually, I changed at the end here what I was going to make this book be. The last book, and maybe some of you are saying, how come there's not a Brene Brown book here? Yeah. Well, the last book is a Brene Brown book. It's her most recent one, Atlas of the Heart. And I'm actually going through it again. The first time I picked it up, I pre-ordered it. I was so excited. I was going to read it, and I just could not get into it in print format. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't do it. But it's funny with Brene's books. Most of them I prefer to listen to. I like her animated voice. So I highly recommend this. It talks a lot about how we interpret words, what we believe, what we use, and how we can go forth, again, to reinvent ourselves. But what I really like about the Audible version is she's got a lot of little extras in there. And she's like, wait. And you can just hear her laughing. And then, when there's times when she gets choked up, times when she's laughing, you really can feel the emotions in this. And this book was a long time coming. But anyways, she'll stop and she'll be like, wait a minute. If you were actually reading this in print version, she says, you would go back and read that again. So I'm going to stop and go back and say this again. And it's like, oh, yeah, right. Wake up. We're not just on autopilot here, and listen. So it's just amazing. I think just the things that she comes up with. And what I love is she is a social worker first. You know, she's kind of snarky, but she also bases a lot of this, all of this actually on her research. So she's a pretty interesting woman. I first became aware, of Brene years ago when she closed the TED Talks. I forget what year it was, but she did a fabulous TED Talk. And then, of course, I had to read all of her books. But I'm putting this one on my list of 12 books that I think all women going through menopause can highly, highly benefit from reading. But honestly, all of her books are awesome. Okay, this by far is my favorite Brene Brown book. And I want to share with her own quote about this book. And Brown says, "I want this book to be an atlas for all of us because I believe that with an adventurous heart and the right maps, we can travel anywhere and never fear losing ourselves." So this book has just it identifies so many emotions. And the chapters are just, the way they're titled really get you to start thinking. For example, I'm thumbing through it right now. I'll give you some of the chapter names. Okay, so places we go when things are uncertain or too much. Places we go when we compare. Places we go when things don't go as planned. And two of my favorite chapters, hold on a second. Places we go when we fall short. And in this chapter, she talks about shame, self-compassion, perfectionism, guilt, humiliation, and comparison. And then the next chapter, places we go when we search for connection. Check out this quote. "It may seem counterintuitive, but one of the biggest barriers to working toward mastery is perfectionism. In our leadership research, we've learned that achieving mastery requires curiosity and viewing mistakes and failures as opportunities for learning. Perfectionism kills curiosity by telling us that we have to know everything or we risk looking less than. Perfectionism tells us that our mistakes and failures are personal defects. So we either avoid trying new things or we barely recover every time we inevitably fall short." I mean, really? What a beautiful view on curiosity and achieving mastery. And this book is just full of gems like that. In fact, I would say if you have not read any of Brene's books, or if you're looking to get a summary of what she's really about in all her work, I would start with this book, and you may not even need other books. She refers back to her previous work on these books, and she just is an amazing, amazing storyteller. So if you are someone who likes to listen to books, you will really enjoy listening to her read her own narratives. And I know I'm guilty of this. This is kind of funny. Call me a geek. But sometimes I will actually open my paper book and pop on my Audible. I did that this morning, actually, and will listen along while she reads. And she actually goes into a little bit more explanation. I think because she gets so excited about her work, she'll stop and repeat things. So anyways, yes, you can tell I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. That's what I got. Again, if you'd like to have a list of all of the books from last week's episode and today's episode, click the link to be added to the email list so that I can get you on the list and send these to you via email. And you can go through them in any way, shape, or form you like. And as always, I want to thank you so much for listening. And if you'd like to talk more about how you can get more physically fit through awesome training and sound nutrition, feel free to reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Anyways, have a great week, and we will be back next week. I am going to tell you that there will be a few more episodes here on the Air Hug Community Podcast, and then that is going to be the conclusion of season 1. And there will be a season 2, but I'm going to take a little bit of time to spend with my family. We're heading in towards the better weather months. I'm going to take a little bit of time to do some outdoor sports that I love and things like that, and do some research so that I can come back with season 2 and even more episodes that will help you have a kick-ass second half of life. All right, so ta-ta for now, and we will be back next Tuesday for a new episode. I just want to make sure you know that. Bye. P.S. Did you notice all that growling in the background? My dogs were having fun wrestling. And no, I didn't bother to edit that out because that's real life around here. Ta-ta for now.